a One Piece game where you can create your own character, create or join your own crew, and explore and fight on the seas of the One Piece world. That would be the perfect One Piece game for me. What's good YouTube, Red Ronnie here, and today I'm going to dive deep into the fighting styles players can have in my dream One Piece game. This is a part 4 of an ongoing series in which I break down game mechanics and features I want in my dream One Piece game idea. So if you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe to stay updated. So after playing anime games where you can create your own characters such as Xenoverse and Shinobi Striker, one thing that has always bothered me is not really being able to choose your character's fighting style. Like the way they fight with just basic melee combos and not like just the super attacks. Well, they kind of do, but not really. In Xenoverse, your fighting style is based on whatever race you pick. Each race has its own set of combos they perform, which could obviously be enhanced by the inclusion of special attacks. In Shinobi Striker, your fighting style is based on whatever weapon your character is currently using in battle, which again could obviously be enhanced by including jutsus. So for a One Piece game of this caliber, we would take more of the Shinobi Striker route of fighting styles, where the fighting style depends on whatever weapon you're holding at the time, but that's just in regards to the weapons. There will also be a variety of unarmed fighting styles a player could choose from, and that will be our focus for today, in which I'll go over weapon fighting styles in the next video. So without further ado, let's discuss fighting styles in the perfect One Piece game. So for starters, let's discuss how fighting styles will work and what that will mean in the game. In the character creation studio, players will be able to pick one of 3 unarmed fighting styles to start the game with. Afterwards, in order to use a different fighting style, like a weapon, you will have to obtain that certain weapon for that specific fighting style. Now before I get into the specific fighting styles, I have to talk about leveling up and skill points. Trust me, that's the only way I think I can make this make sense. Okay, so leveling up in this game would be like any other RPG. You fight and you defeat opponents to gain experience points and level up. Simple. But it's a little more than that. So you gain experience points and level up, and when you level up you gain skill points. And while this is pretty standard for any other RPG game, the difference here is that you will have different sets of skill points to increase different kinds of skills. So what I mean by this is that when you level up, you will gain a set of attribute skill points, which will be specifically for increasing your 6 attributes. And you will also gain a set of ability skill points. Ability skill points will be used to level up your 3 different abilities. Those abilities being your fighting style, Haki if you have it, and your Devil Fruit power if you are a Devil Fruit user. Now I'll talk about Haki and Devil Fruits in a separate video, but using these ability skill points will be how you gain special attacks and upgrades for those 3 abilities. They each will have their own individual skill tree, and you would use your ability skill points to gain new attacks and enhance the attacks you already have. Now that's important when discussing the fighting styles in this game, because every time you switch your fighting style to a new one, you will have to start on a whole new skill tree. But if you switch back to your previous fighting style, the skill tree will still be filled out like it was before. Think of it as you in real life learning how to box. And after years of training and excelling in boxing, you want to try to learn something different, like let's say karate. You won't be as good in karate when you start as you are currently in boxing. But even when you completely learn karate, you still should be a good boxer at the end of it all. It's just your character being able to learn and perfect multiple types of fighting styles in order to be versatile and switch it up from time to time. Now after talking so much about how fighting styles will work, let's talk about the specific unarmed fighting styles players could choose in this game. So in this game, you will be able to pick and choose between the 3 types of unarmed fighting styles at any time. So even when you pick a specific one, since you don't need a weapon to obtain one, you could just switch to that other fighting style to use. The first of these unarmed fighting styles being Brawling. Brawling is pretty much Luffy's fighting style, barring the use of the Gumi Gumi no Mi, or I guess how you would say Garp fights. It's really just like straight hands and kicks being used in a somewhat organized fashion, but lacking the nobility of a true fighting style. I could see a lot of players who just want to use a weapon start out with this fighting style, just cause it's pretty standard. The next and probably the most popular of the 3, Black Leg style. Black Leg style, as most fans know, is a fighting style used by both Black Leg Sanji and Red Leg Zeph. It's in the name. Black Leg style consists of only the use of kicking and avoids the use of hands. The only time users use their hands is for balancing while performing handstand kicks. By leveling up the skill tree, a Black Leg style user could eventually obtain the ability to use Diable Jambe attacks. Diable Jambe would do much more damage than regular kicks and cause burn effects. Black Leg style users will also be able to obtain the Skywalk ability through leveling up. When activated, the player will be able to jump up into and off the air as much as they want to until their stamina completely drains. Also, for you manga readers out there, infrared Janbei wouldn't be a thing a skilled blackleg user would be able to obtain just by leveling up, but I'll save my explanation on that for another video. And the last of the three unarmed combat fighting styles, Okama/Newcomer Kenpo. Okama/Newcomer Kenpo is the fighting style used by fighters from the Kamabaka kingdom of Muramuro Island. It mimics ballet-like movements to perform deadly kicks, kind of similar to blackleg style, except Okama Kenpo users use their hands for combat as well as their legs. The primary user of the Okama Kenpo we know of is Mr. 2 Bon Clay. So in regards to Okama Kenpo, most of your attacks will be what we've seen him do in the series. Now of course, Bon Clay isn't that strong of a fighter in the grand scheme of things, but players will be able to enhance the fighting style with the use of Haki or the Devil Fruit. Now as for the Newcomer Kenpo, which would just be another branch in the Okama Kenpo skill tree, that's the fighting style of Ivankov, and that's really his winking techniques, the Death Wink, the Hail Wink, and his ultimate attack, the Galaxy Wink. And that's so far as the highest level of Okama/Newcomer Kenpo we've seen in this series. And those are pretty much the only hand-to-hand combat fighting styles that make sense, or at least has enough users with enough techniques shown to be in the game. Now I do have some honorable mentions that could be in the game, but don't have that many techniques for me to be 100% sure. The first of these honorable mentions being boxing. While we've seen boxers and guys like Frankie who has a boxing-like fighting style, we don't know of too many techniques by boxers in the show. Off the top of my head is the King Punch used by Elizabello and Frankie's Strong Right, which is kind of predicated on Frankie's Iron Fist. Moving on to the Ryo Soken or the Dragon Claw Fist, Sabo's main fighting style, which is really cool and all, but there are only like 2 main special attacks Sabo has that only involves the use of the Dragon Fist, so that's why I didn't put it as one of the main types. But I guess if you want to say that developers could create new attacks with the Ryo Soken and I guess boxing as well, then I wouldn't mind those 2 being in the game. And finally, the Gyoken, Lao G's main fighting style. Now unlike the previous 2, there are actually a couple of techniques for the Gyoken shown in this series, but the entire style of the Gyoken is predicated on being an old person. It literally means Earth Old Man Fist. But if you don't think that matters and having Gyoken in the game will be fun, then so be it. And that's it for the unarmed combat styles that will be in this game. And I know what you're thinking at this point, where is Rokushiki and Fishman Karate? Well, those 2 are going to be covered in the last of these fighting style videos titled Special Fighting Styles. So just be patient. So come back next video where I talk about melee weapon fighting styles in combat. See you in the next one.